Resident Evil Requiem is only a month away, and after going hands-on with a highly anticipated horror title, we're here to tell you that Leon is back and more powerful than ever in this gruesome and gory mainline entry. GamesRadar's Jasmine Gould-Wilson has been adamant since day one that our boy Leon would return in Requiem, and it's clear she's not stopped thinking about him and his luscious blonde hair since. Just head to our website and read her preview to see what we mean. Despite that distraction, we're here to tell you 5 things you need to know before playing Resident Evil Requiem. Well, that's my cardio for the week. Surrounded by the blood splatter mush of 4 crimson heads, the line is simply too good not to jot down. Moreover, it proves that playing as Leon is a far cry from the anxiety that haunted me during my first hands-on with Capcom's latest. The rookie cop turned badass Division of Special Operations official has never been more lethal. Now, pushing 60, he's more James Bond than survivor horror hero. If words could kill, Dr. Victor Gideon would already be dead, but Leon's hatchet does the talking just fine on its own. Parrying chainsaws isn't even the slickest it gets for this new and improved hero. He'll now simply scoop them off the ground after hacking up the original wielder. Checkmate, Dr. Gideon. Clad in yet another stylish jacket we'll all be lusting after, he strides into the palatial building, with its central staircase and branching upper landings affording it more than a passing resemblance to the original Resident Evil's Spencer Mansion, like he owns the place. His swagger says it all. 3-day stubble and a smattering of fine lines aside, this is the same Leon Kennedy we know and love. Kept waiting in the hall by Dr. Victor Gideon, an evacuation alarm begins to blare, and a chainsaw-wielding orderly with a curious black infection stumbles towards Leon menacingly. Nasty blighters like this are still one-hit kills, and the death animations are grisly, yet perhaps overly long delights. I could start blasting, sure, but Leon's trusty hatchet isn't just his new melee weapon of choice. It turns him into a hack-and-slash master, and I hack infected to mulch, cutting down any who tried to pick up the chainsaw as it falls to the ground. Leon needn't stick to just the hatchet, able to wield that chainsaw for himself this time around. It's incredibly satisfying to swing it into the grabby hordes, slicing and dicing as buckets of black-red viscera erupt from their ruined corpses. He heads over to a bolt-locked door to cut through the metal, chainsaw in hand, and I walk out into a corridor just in time to see where my last preview left off, with Grace in peril from her hulking pursuer. Stumbling terror isn't Leon's speed, however, leaving a pulpy mess of the horror stalker as the 2 protagonists collide. Briefly. Unable to even make it through 2 truths and a lie introductions, the pair are separated by a metal grating, with Leon getting promptly knocked out by Dr. Gideon himself. I have a moment here to catch my breath and take stock. The sight of Leon speaking through a divider at his female co-star brings back memories of 2019's Resident Evil 2, with FBI forensic analyst Grace Ashcroft standing in for Claire Redfield. It's at this moment where my preview session splits off into Grace's first-person perspective for a couple of hours, as she tries desperately to find a way out of the facility. If you've seen Capcom's official promotional material, you'll know Grace is not wielding John Wick moves or witty one-liners. She's not a veteran of Resi's labyrinthine environments and monstrous ever-present threats. Our aim was to deliver a gaming experience that alternately immerses players in the most terrifying horror and the most thrilling action, producer Masato Kumazawa told GamesRadar, therefore maximizing both the terror felt when transitioning from action to horror segments, and the exhilaration experience when shifting from horror to action segments. To this end, as Leon's counterpart, we introduced Grace, an easily frightened character who was experiencing a biohazard situation for the first time. We're also assured that the stalker enemy and associated helplessness of the player character is just one small part of the overall experience. Back to Leon, and despite the clobbering, he's in the right place to visit a doctor next time we cross paths. What's more, the lengthy cutscene could shine a little light on Elpis, the reason for Leon's journey to Rhodes Hill in the first place. That shadowy black mark you might have already glimpsed on his throat? Umbrella's curse, Dr. Gideon calls it, tracing Leon's neck with an uncomfortable tenderness as the DSO agent wakes up, hands tied behind him just in time for a villain monologue. This is where the doc administers his treatments, Gideon says. Leon glances up at him through impossibly perfect hair. The silent treatment, I hope. But Leon's too action hero to be tied down for long, breaking free and firing his handgun as the doctor scurries away. Quite how this curse will impact Mr. Kennedy throughout Requiem remains to be seen, but if the Raccoon City survivor meets a bad end, then we all riot. Got it? I've never felt as powerful in a Resident Evil game as I do as Leon, especially when the dreaded Crimson Head zombies make an appearance, the mutated infected you might recall from the terrifying 2002 Resident Evil remake. The infamously hard-to-kill blighters are back, and just as lethal, but don't worry about setting fire to them. Leon can down the suckers with a shotgun shell or two to the brain, followed by another head smash attack with that trusty hatchet to finish them off for good. Despite Leon being able to flatten these red-faced devils, the nostalgia factor drummed up by just thinking about the way they tormented us back in the GameCube era of gaming. Yes, one of the writers here is old, and no, we won't reveal which one, hammers home just how long Resident Evil has been going as a series. Requiem's release coming 30 years after the original PlayStation game was always going to establish it as a celebration of the franchise, but including enemies like Crimson Heads alongside Grace's panic-ridden segments is Capcom demonstrating to us all how truly horrifying this series is, and why we love Resident Evil for it. Then, when you add Leon and his ability to chainsaw through foes, it's easy to see Requiem as potentially the ultimate Resident Evil title. However, we'll have to wait for the game's full release on February 27, 2026 to see if it sticks that incredibly demanding landing. So, will you be playing Resident Evil Requiem? Are you ready to feel the fear as Grace? Or what about annihilating monsters as Leon? Let us know and stick with GamesRadar for the biggest and best games of 2026.